Honestly, as at this point, sometimes I feel like just calling all the Black Americans together and giving them hug, each and every one of them, because some of the things that Black Americans go through, I don't think I can survive that. I'm sorry to say. I don't think I can really go through all of that phrase or go through some of this phase that Black Americans have been through, and I can literally survive that, honestly. These are very important clips that I want you guys to watch. There is something of being an American, right? And being a Black America in America. I don't know if you guys get my point or where I'm actually coming from. There is something of you being an American, and there is something about you being Black American in America. Honestly, it's a different ball game itself. And when I saw some Black Americans discussing and sharing some deep experience that they've been through, I feel like I just need to bring this here. And I want you guys to watch and let me know your honest opinion in the comment section. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And for disclaimers, this is just for educational purposes only, not to come here ruffle on anyone's shoulder. But let's just go and watch, and I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go.
If for some reason you want to know what it's like to be a Black woman in America, this is it.
I was interviewing, I was trying to find a job, and I interviewed at this very popular media company. I'm not going to say the name. So I'm on the call with this man. He's a white man, and he's like going through my resume, and he says to me, "This is one of the best resumes I've ever seen in my life." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. I got this job. Like, my life is about to change." And then he says, "I almost feel like if other people saw this resume, it would make them feel bad about their own journeys." And I was like, huh?
Did y'all hear that? This is the best resume we've ever seen. Go back and watch that young lady's video, which sums up how Black women are treated in this country when we give our best. And that post was a textbook case. The white man that was interviewing her said that this was the best resume he had ever seen. And it would be at that moment where you think, I nailed it. Because essentially you did everything you were told to do and you knew how to do. And it landed. You went to school, you put in the time, you elevated yourself, you were twice as good. That's what Black women have been told to do our entire lives. But the older you get and the more you learn, the system starts to reveal itself. The veil, it starts to lift. And you realize what's behind it is something really ugly. Because suddenly you realize that your excellence is a problem. Go figure. Now it's you're overqualified. You make people uncomfortable. You're too good for this job. Your resume might make people feel bad. And baby, we know what that's code for. But just in case you don't know, let me translate. Your excellence is exposing our mediocrity. And white supremacy doesn't know what to do with that. Baby, that's not how it operates. Because if we're honest, the system was never built to reward merit. It was built to reward whiteness, which means that mediocrity, it can rise as long as it's the right color. So Black women are constantly put in the position where we have to shrink ourselves or fail, tone it down or fail, dim our light or fail, make everybody else comfortable or fail. And it's all at the expense of our brilliance. So if you're thinking, why not a Kamala Harris, a Stacey Abrams, a Shirley Chisholm, or a Jasmine Crockett? That's why Massage Noir's goal is to destroy Black women. And that right there, that's what it's like to be a Black woman in America. All right, good people, drink your water, stay rooted, real, and knowledgeable, and mind your Black business. Happy Black History 365, and I'll see you next time.
Being black and working in corporate America is such a unique experience. And it's unique because corporate America was not designed for us. We know who corporate America was designed for. We came into corporate America and found a place here. And it's especially unique when you hold a leadership position in corporate America. And we want to say that it's other races that wants to tear us down or hold us back. But if we be honest with ourselves, it's us that tears us down and holds us back. We play a role in our own demise in this particular space. And it's sad because we make a spectacle of ourselves for everyone else. And it's hard to be in a leadership role in corporate America, if you know.
Imagine standing in front of a mirror, not just any mirror, but one that shows not one reflection, but two. One is the self you know, the person you live with every day. The other, the distorted image shaped by a society that sees you only through the lens of your skin. This is the burden of double consciousness. W.E.B. Du Bois, the towering scholar, historian, and soul of a generation, gave voice to this inner conflict in his 1903 masterpiece, The Souls of Black Folk. He wrote, "It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others." What Du Bois illuminated was not just an identity crisis. It was a spiritual fracture, a psychological balancing act forced upon Black people in America to be both Black and American in a country that denied the full humanity of both. To be told you are free, yet to be treated as less. To be raised on the promises of democracy while living under the shadow of racial hierarchy. Double consciousness is not confusion. It is clarity forced to split. It is the awareness of how you're seen versus how you know yourself to be. It is the tightrope walk of existing in a society where your body is politicized before your name is even known. It is code switching in boardrooms. It is armor worn in classrooms. It is shrinking and expanding, hiding and shining, often all at the same breath. Du Bois did not merely describe a condition, he diagnosed a nation. He gave language to the spiritual violence inflicted by white supremacy. He showed that racism isn't only brutality and chains, it is a quiet thief that tries to steal how Black people see themselves. And yet, in this fractured vision, Du Bois also saw something else: resilience, the power of Black folks to forge identity not through a single lens, but through a deep, dual vision, a gift of seeing more, feeling more, and surviving more than any system ever expected. Double consciousness isn't a weakness. It's a survival strategy, a defiant declaration. I am not what you say I am. I am who I know myself to be. So when we remember Du Bois, we don't just remember a scholar. We remember a mirror breaker, a truth teller. And in every Black person, navigating the world with grace and rage, joy, pain, love, and resistance, his theories live on. Because the struggle for wholeness is still being fought, and the double consciousness Du Bois described, it still echoes in every footstep forward. I love you, Black man. I love you, Black woman. Knowledge is power. Power to the people.
Say it loud.
People wonder why Black women are always angry. You want to know why we always angry? My sister was admitted to the hospital last night. She came in, she had shortness of breath, lightheaded, minor chest pain, and some swelling on her ankles, okay? They do all the things, the EKG, they run all the tests, they do the blood work. They admit her to monitor her overnight. doctor. She takes blood thinners. She's a diabetic. All these things. They do an echocardiogram this morning at 9 o'clock. They do a stress test at noon. The doctor came in the room, talked to me for about 2 minutes, very short, abrupt, quickly, nothing. 3-4 hours go by. I'm like, well, is the doctor going to come back and give us the results? Like, what's going on? The nurse is like, well, let me message her. So she sent her a message. The doctor messaged back, well, what do they want me to tell them? The results aren't back. But you steady coming in, giving her medicine and supplements, but you're not telling us for what, or why she needs them, or what her test results were in the first place to even get them. So I'm like, I don't want to talk to her via text through a second person. Can she just come back into the hospital? This goes on for about 3 hours back and forth. She never come back to the hospital. I speak to the director of nursing. He gave me a nice rundown. He's nice, but his shift is getting ready to end. Another hour and a half go by. Oh, the nurse come back and say, well, she's going to be discharged. I say, in what world do nurses discharge patients and not the doctor? I say, how can we be discharged when you were waiting on a second test result that hasn't come back yet? Oh, well, we're still going to discharge her and we'll let her know the test results in the morning. I said, but what if the test results are dire or life-changing and we have to come back? I say, we're not comfortable being discharged until the second result is back. And I'm requesting a different doctor because the one that I have clearly don't want to do her job. Or she got a problem with how we look. So I know a lot of people in the medical field, so I'm asking all the right questions, all the right phrases. I know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking to them. And they all looking like they shocked. So we're not comfortable being discharged. We're not going home today, and I want a different attending tomorrow. So here we are. This is 2026. This is the treatment Black people get almost, if not every single time they go to the hospital. Like, and I say I came in here calm, but they don't want that version of me. I say, so from now on out, I'm just gonna come in as an angry Black woman to begin with. That way they know they can't play with me. Because I came in here nice, trying to be timid and respectful. That shit is out the door when it comes to my sister. So she's staying another night. Because I want another doctor to make sure we're okay before we go home. Speak up for yourself. Advocate for yourself.
Earlier last week, I was in a pizza store picking up a pizza. And it was in a suburb area of Atlanta where I live. And I walked in this pizza shop, and it was just nothing but people in there. And I just, found myself looking for another person like me and didn't see it. And I got pretty upset pretty quick. Like, man, I don't even need to be here. Like, and this is a very like hip and cool, like liberal type spot. You know what I mean? Like a progressive spot. Like, you wouldn't think me being there is a problem, even if it is a bunch of people that don't like me there. But I still felt this anxiety of like, I'm not safe here. These people don't care about me. I'm being watched. And I think that's the black experience, right? I think that's, particularly the African American experience, but I'm sure black in any space feels like that. Just like you're always being watched, like someone's always keeping tabs on you, like, and it made me think about this story of when I was younger. Actually, I was in the 5th grade. I was visiting my mom in Florida, and the origin of all crazy stories. So I'm in Florida. I'm at this mall. I've got my tall tee. I've got my baggy shorts on. I got my Air Force Ones on. I think I'm a cool guy. I'm wearing my fitted cap. My white Chicago fitted cap. Never been in Chicago. And I'm going through Macy's, and I'm just like looking at clothes, and I see this section of fitted caps. They got the Cubs. They got like a Magic hats. They got like all these teams on these fitted caps. I'm like, oh, this is great. So I decided it was time to find my actual true hat size because the hat I was wearing at that time was actually too big. So I'm switching up the hats. I'm just looking in the mirror, trying to see how things look. Okay, this one. So I came away knowing, okay, I'm a 7.5. I'm a 7.5. So I take my hat and I put it back on. Obviously, I can't afford any of the stuff in there at the time. I'm in 5th grade. So I just, keep it pushing on to the next store or whatever. So then I get outside of Macy's, And a police officer comes up behind me. He's like, "Where'd you get that hat?" I'm like, "I walked in with this hat." And then my mom comes over. She sees what's going on. She's like, "What do you mean? Where'd you get the hat?" "That's his hat. I bought him that hat." He took that hat from the stand over there, is what the police officer says. And of course, we didn't take the stand, but I didn't take the hat out the stand. So my mom starts going in. How could you think that? How could you think that? You just see a black boy over there trying to hassle you, think the worst, blah, 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 blah. Go check the cameras. Go check the cameras. So he goes to check the cameras. And of course, I didn't take the hat. But, we just went home shortly after that. And I remember my mom in the car just giving me a long conversation, telling me, like, this is just how it happens. Like, you're viewed a certain way a lot of times, and it's not fair. But, unfortunately, you can choose to conduct yourself a different way to try and minimize this, but it's still the reality of your situation. And that was the moment that it all hit me. Like, oh, this is my life. This is what. And ever since then, man, you just be in areas and you're just like, bro, like, man, that glare is bad. Just like, bro, like, why are y'all on me? Like, why do I feel like everyone's watching me? And the thing about it is, too, it's not just like we're watching you to do something that's wrong, too, right? One thing I've noticed about when I'm at work, like in corporate spaces or whatever, right? If you're the only black guy in a corporate space, you are looked at like, sometimes it could be like, oh, he don't know nothing. But sometimes it could be like, oh, he really knows something. Like, oh, he's the key to the culture. Oh, he's our link, Not just from like a cool perspective, but also from like the perspective of, oh, he really must have his stuff together. Like, if he's gonna be here, he's got to be the best. You know what I'm saying? It's like the point is, you have to, if you're in a certain space, to somebody that's not like you, or maybe someone that's like you have to fit in a specific puzzle piece. You have to be there for a specific reason, and that's the only thing that makes sense to them. And as a black person, when you walk into a room, you feel that instantly. You feel it instantly. You feel it in the stares. You feel it in the conversation. You feel it in the questions they ask you. And that's where these microaggressions come from. So yeah, I just want to get that off my chest, man. And that pizza wasn't even that good, to be honest, so I ain't going back.
Imagine being told the entire time that you were growing up that you were second class to a specific race, constantly getting gaslit about the horrendous shit that you and your ancestors went through, getting told that you're always overreacting, that you're always bringing up the past, that it was a long time ago. And imagine that one superior race who thinks that they're better than everybody else tries to flip it on to you, how you guys are actually the savages, how you guys are actually the ones that are the issue. You're starting to put the pieces together? Great. Now you know what it's like to be black. Being black in America is honestly so exhausting, because you can't talk about the past because, oh, then you're talking about race. Oh, all you talk about is race. Oh, that happened so many years ago. But then once you stop talking about race and you just are minding your business amongst your own people, they still come over here and bother you. It is literally so insane. Black people cannot win in this country, bro. And that's why I tell y'all to do whatever it is that we want to do. Because white people, honestly, feel very threatened and very intimidated by us. So the only thing you can do is live your best black life. They hate to see us thriving? Oh well, we'll cry about it.
Unless you've lived in America for some time, you will not understand why Black Americans move the way that they do. And I'm saying this as a non-Black American who's lived in America for quite some time. Because prior to moving to America, I was a similar way. I was like, what is this emphasis on race? Like, it's not that deep. Let it go, right? Because I'm going off of my lived experience, right? And visiting a place is not the same as living in a place, I'm going off my lived experience of different cultures coming together, being in harmony, etc., blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I don't know what this great, division is, because again, my experience is different. But telling somebody who has that lived experience that, well, it's not valid, because your lived experience is different, is going to be quite invalidating. So, and I say for some time specifically, because you could live here maybe like 6 months, a year, and you haven't experienced anything, right? And outside of the US, you have to understand that what you're seeing is a very curated experience in the media. Granted, with the rise of social media, we're opening a lot more doors, right? But we could even see like what's going on now with Black Americans and Black Scots. It, to me, it's jolly. I loved it. I've loved seeing it. And people are like, they didn't know Black Americans knew Black Scots existed. We're in every part of the world, right? But it's just exciting to see people that, even me as a Caribbean person, I was like, oh, this is exciting. Seeing an accent on a different face, than what you would think for that region is something exciting. It's something fun. But people are using it to almost make like Americans seem dumb or whatever. But unless you've lived here, then you start to be like, yeah, they're white people. They're a little bit different than my white people. They're a little different than the other white people over there. You know what I'm saying? Because I had never thought about, and I've talked about this before, I've never thought about being Black until I moved to America. It's not a thought that crossed my mind because I'm from a majority Black country. So it's not a thought that's going to cross my mind, and I'm not experiencing racism in my country, in a majority Black country. But I experienced it here. I'll tell you that for sure. So unless you've lived here, unless you've had that experience, unless you know the cultural significance of slavery, which as a Black person in every country you should, but it's different. Even though we all experience it, we experience different types. And the slavery in America specifically was like the worst form of slavery, because you broke down the person down to their core, stripped them of their culture, etc. Whereas in other regions, we didn't have that. We maintained quite a bit of our culture, and Africa and the Caribbean, etc. So we still had that to hold on to. But here it was almost stripped away entirely down to the core, right? So identity is a very big thing in America in a different way than it is for us in the Caribbean, right? So I would say sometimes you don't have to be a part of every conversation. Sometimes you just sit back and watch. And can we please get rid of this diaspora war? Black people from all the world, we're different. Every Black person is not the same, but we all have some of the same lived experiences, okay? But the diaspora wars are tired. They are tired. They're exhausting. But what's crazy is like when you have people of different culture living in the same place, it's all Gucci. It's when we seem to be in different regions of the world, it can't click. It's not clicking too good.
You know what? Being Black in America is exhausting. You know what I'm saying? It is freaking exhausting. And this is something that Black people have been going through since the day that they was born. And you see a lot of Black people that discuss, these incidents where, they're racially profiled, where they're being pulled over for no reason, where they're being followed in the stores, where they're at a restaurant and the waitresses is ignoring them. It really is exhausting. You know what? And it takes an effect on your self-esteem. It takes an effect on your health because you're constantly always worried about somebody staring at you, watching you, profiling you. It's exhausting. You know what I'm saying? We can never just be in this world and live, how we want to, stress-free. We're constantly looking over our backs and stuff like that. And it's even more exhausting being a Black woman. But yeah, Black America is tired. We are sick and freaking tired.
Okay, this is going to sound arrogant coming from a white guy, but I finally figured out why it is so infuriating to be Black in America. And just hear me out. You can let me have it if I'm wrong. But the infuriating thing about being Black in America is not being pulled over for driving while Black. It's not being passed up for the promotion that you deserved. It's not even the generational wealth and opportunity that your family lost because of redlining in your grandparents' generation and the centuries of oppression before that. What's infuriating is that you can't talk about it. You can't talk about these things without being accused of playing the race card and making it all about race. That's the infuriating part. It's like you're not allowed to talk about reality, your own lived reality, without constant pushback. So we made this documentary, The Sins of Our Fathers, Race, Religion, and the Rise of Trump, which actually just came out this week. because we realized that Donald Trump didn't deceive us. We deceived ourselves because we refuse to face the truth of our own history as a nation. So we're bringing it all to the light so we can face reality, even if it's uncomfortable. Because until we are honest about our white supremacy, past and present, we have no pathway forward as a nation.
One of the more annoying experiences being black in America is having white people, mainly racist white people, try to act as if you're not as American or more American than them. They'll say insults like, well, go back to Africa, go back to where you came from. Meanwhile, my ancestors have been here longer than their ancestors came through Ellis Island. Just got off of a Zoom call with this person I'm supposed to be working with. Manager was on the phone and he kept alluding to the fact that this person's making Americana, country music, and they were trying to make it seem like I wasn't going to be able to understand the American culture and the American values because, you know, black people just don't have the same experience here. And I kept asking him, well, where do you think I'm from? And he's like, well, yeah, you're from New York, but like, you know, and funny enough, me and the person I'm supposed to work with have the same exact last name. And I said to them, I said, do you know why we have the same last name? Because your great, great, great grandfather is probably my great, great, great grandfather. My great, great grandfather is white. So it's probably your cousin or your uncle. And he said, oh no, that's not what I meant. I said, that's exactly what you meant. I said, the cognitive dissonance white people have with how they're socialized to believe that white equals American. And that even goes for Europeans in the way that they think about America. Or America's a settler colony, and the original Americans in this country are Native Americans, European settlers from the Netherlands and England, and the African slaves that they had here. So it's so weird to me that they think that black people aren't American or have ownership of America or the American identity or American culture, or that black culture is one of the dominant American cultures, if not the dominant American culture. It's just wild to me because I'm like, well, even one of my buddies in college, his last name is Duncan, and he's also a fourth. And when I met him, I was like, "Oh, your family probably owned mine," and he got like all uncomfortable. And I'm like, "Bro, I just, history is history. Like, we can't change it, but we also can't sit here and act like black people aren't as American or more American than majority of white people in this country, because the majority of you are descendants of those who came through Ellis Island. Never forget that."
Being black in Florida is a roller coaster ride that I wish I could get off of. In addition to anti-blackness from white people, which I've come to expect, Hispanic people, which I don't understand, and black people, there are no safe spaces. I live in a guard-gated community. 24 hours a day, there's supposed to be a guard there controlling access to the community through the non-resident side. All of these individuals are black. I came into the neighborhood at 2 a.m. Monday morning, and the guardhouse was completely abandoned. There was no one there. Both gates were wide open, and I didn't think anything of it because the gate is nothing that gives me any sense of security whatsoever. That's the type of thing I let my neighbors complain about. Later on that day, when I came back, the guard was there, but the resident side seemed to be having some sort of a malfunction. There was a car in front of me, and she was repositioning herself, trying to get her transponder to work. And then eventually the guard pressed a button, opened the arm, and that person was allowed to enter into the neighborhood. When it was my turn to come into the neighborhood, I kind of crept up because I assumed that there was something going on with the transponders. That's nothing new. It has happened before, but my transponder has always worked. So I get close to the gate. It doesn't open for me either. I back up, I reposition myself. I do what I can do with the space that I have, but it's becoming clear that the gate is not working. The guard yells at me and tells me that I need to back up and figure out a way to come in through the non-resident side. And I said, no, I'm a resident. Not only was the non-resident side backed up, but you just let someone in front of me. So she goes, well, I don't know if you live here. And I said, I'm telling you I live here. And she said, well, I'm not letting you in. I rolled up my window because, baby, you don't know about me. I just came from Chick-fil-A. I have a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. I have my orange juice. I rolled up my window, turned on my music, put my strawberry jelly on my sandwich, and ate my sandwich in peace. Because if you think I'm going to let you, a non-resident, check me, a resident, in my neighborhood where I pay HOA assessments, you must have lost your cotton-picking mind.
White people who are not a part of the 1%, y'all are about to learn what it's like to be black in America. And you can thank your president for that. of course, and his merry band of followers, aka the Republican leadership, Republican lawmakers. You can thank them for your firsthand experience. You're about to experience what it's like being Black in America. Congratulations. So I started reading this new book, Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram Kendi, and I actually started listening to it while I was out in my garden. And I try to listen to books that I actually have a physical copy of so I can go back and reference it. What I understood is about 2 hours in, there's nothing new under the sun. Like, nothing that this administration is doing is new. It happened before the founding of the country. It happened in Britain. It has happened all across the world. It will be new to you because you are not used to oppression, but Black people are. You get to see what it's like to be Black. See, they'll say things like they're going to cut funding for Harvard, even though they provide research and advancements in technology and medicine and science. They'll cut that funding because they want to, invest in vocational trades and things that will assist the average everyday working American. Things like HVAC and heating and cooling, those kinds of things. They want to make sure that they're able to invest in that. And then literally at the same time, they will cut Job Corps, the federal program specifically for teens and young adults, to obtain vocational training so that they will be able to sustain themselves and maybe a family. So they keep saying this, but they're cutting all of the resources. You're about to see what it's like to be Black in America. I intentionally seek out Black doctors. My personal attorney is Black, and I do that on purpose because for medical purposes, I know that Black people, Black women, Black men will know based on a historical narrative what I am more apt to deal with because I am a Black woman, because there are historical predispositions that I am exposed to based on the trauma of slavery. That's why Black people are typically hit with things like higher blood pressure, because it's a trauma response from slavery. It's inherited. Or diabetes or kidney disease. Those things are inherited. But if you are white and you've never had to study Black anatomy and you have no resources because they do not study Black people, then you would not know that. I intentionally seek out Black doctors for that purpose. And then also because I know if they are a Black doctor, a Black dentist, a Black attorney, I know they have worked their ass off because they had to overcome all of the barriers that were put in place to ensure that they never arrived to that place. They didn't get to call it in. They didn't get to guess and just, show up and smile and get a passing grade. They had to work. So they are usually much more knowledgeable. They are subject matter experts. So I choose them on purpose. See, here's the thing. This administration, the Heritage Foundation, the America First agenda, they don't want any of that. That is why they're putting barriers in place for things like, higher education. You don't think it's a barrier because you're not experiencing it yet, but, they're proposing capping student loans at like $50,000 a year. That's crazy. That's how they're going to deal with the student loan crisis. Not by addressing the astronomical price of tuition and room and board, but by capping the amount you can borrow. And then cutting vocational programs that are federally funded that also provided housing and food, because a lot of times children will age out of like foster care, or they come out to their family and they're kicked out because of the way that they are. And so VOTEC, Job Corps programs would provide them with housing and food and a way to provide for themselves. The ROI on that is massive. When you think about investing for 6, 8, 12 months, 24 months, depending on the certification, and now you have an able-bodied person who is able to take care of themselves, it is absolutely worth the investment. But see, they don't think so. They think that poor white people, middle-class white people, should be treated just like Black people have always been treated, as I have discovered in this book. And I'm not even done with it. I probably got like 20 more hours. But yeah, they're going to expose you to what it's like to be Black in America. They're going to keep telling you those same old tired phrases like, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They'll keep saying that, knowing that they have amputated your feet. They don't care that you do not have access to resources, that you will not be able to pay for education, and they are actually defunding the Department of Education so that your children who need accommodations or services will no longer be able to get them because they want to root out the weak and the undesirable. They want to treat you like Black people. Yeah. So pretty soon, we won't just have to rely on historical context for how horrific this country has always treated Black people. We will have firsthand knowledge because they will be denying you education. They'll be denying you literacy. They will be denying you food and housing. They will deny your ability to buy a house, obtain credit, pay off the debt you currently have. It is literally written in Project 2025. And there is nothing new under the sun. They're going to treat you just like they have always treated black people.
Being black in America is exhausting, bro. Being black in America is exhausting, especially in these professional settings and these corporate settings where we always have to be the bigger person. It's like nobody else is ever the problem. Nobody else is ever the problem. We're always the problem. And when we respond, we're the problem. If we stand up for ourselves, we're the problem. If we say something back, we're the problem. It's just ridiculous to me. Others are never held accountable. Once you're black in a situation, in a corporate space or a professional setting, just know that no matter what, you're gonna be wrong. You're going to be wrong. You're going to be aggressive. You're gonna be the troublemaker. You're gonna be the distraction. You're going to be wrong. Like, the odds are stacked against you. Don't even try, bro. Don't even try. They got it. Like, they got it. Being black in America is exhausting. It's like you never get a fair chance. You never do. And then when you try to get a fair chance to explain your situation or to explain your experience, you're always gaslit. People always want to tell you that your experience is not what it is. Oh, maybe it wasn't like that. Oh, maybe she didn't mean it like that. Oh, that's just the way she talks. I don't give a fuck if that's the way she talks. Don't fucking talk to me like that. Like, it's just crazy. It's just, yo, being black in America is exhausting because y'all want so much from us. Y'all want our rhythm, but don't want our blues. Everybody want to be black until it's time to be black. That's the thing. Everybody want to be black until it's time to be black. And then these same women and same men that disregard black people and black experiences are the same ones that want to be in relationships with black people. Like, it blows my mind. It really, really does. But it's just, being black in America is exhausting. It really is, because y'all want us to be quiet. Y'all want us to be target practice. Y'all want us to be your freaking basketball players and your entertainers and your freaking court jesters, your clowns. And it's so crazy because although it's so frustrating at times to be black in America and to live in this black body and have these black experiences that non-black people sometimes so often want to gaslight me with and gaslight me about, I still would not rather be anything other than black. It's crazy.
In 2025, hundreds of thousands of black women were laid off and displaced without having jobs, and that persists in 2026. This is one of the most difficult job markets, especially for people that have degrees. And a couple of weeks ago, a friend asked me, you know, is it better for you to just have your own job? I think it's something great about you knowing that at the end of the day, you have your own, you have something that you can own. And earlier today, I was on a call where I was literally mortified. I was completely caught off guard by my W-2 employer. And when I say every other second, I was thinking, should I cry? Should I scream? Should I cry? Should I scream? And I just sat there and I accepted the treatment, had to put my big girl panties on and accept the fact that as an employee, you have to take leadership and direction, and you can't take it personally because you're there to fulfill a job, fulfill a task. You're a number in a spot required to fulfill something. And in that moment, I realized, God, I am so grateful to have my own, because at the end of the day, when he says it's time and I don't have to accept things like that anymore, I don't. My name is Monty. I own 2 six-figure salons. They both specialize in waxing and sugaring, and I've been owning those businesses for 11 years. I teach beauty and spa professionals how to grow and scale their 6-figure salons, and I'm franchising this year. This is your gentle reminder that you don't have to keep on going how it is, and that regardless of how they treat you, you are more than enough and you are good enough.
On different occasions, we knew that Black Americans were literally qualified for every single thing that they would literally apply for. But at the end of the day, a lot of them were never given the opportunities to get even what they were qualified for. And it's quite sad because I said it from the part of this video that honestly, some of the things that Black Americans have to go through, have to deal with, I don't think I can survive dealing with things like that, honestly. Because imagine after going to school, you've been told to go to school, and after going to school, getting all of that degree, making sure you are a professional in everything you do, making sure you know your job very well, but you still cannot get that job because you are too overqualified. You still cannot get that position because they assume you know too much. And for that, it is going to be like a threat to them. You still cannot be in that position because they assume that they prefer to give that position to someone that really do not qualify that. All because of your skin color. Imagine having to have that conclusion that, oh, I got this job, and at the end of the day, you were never called for the job. Then let's not even talk about that one. Let's talk about the ones that are already working and what they have to go through. The ones that are already doing the job. The ones that are the ones making everything possibly happening. But still, because of segregation, because of the fact that you are a Black person, you still do not get your credit. You still get a lot of issues, east, west, north, and south, even when you're putting in the work. And I feel like that is why a lot, especially Black American women, will literally tell themselves, I think it's better for me to find a business for myself, or I should do something that I can really be the boss of my own. Because the more they keep going into this institution, the more the vibes for them to do some certain job would just automatically die off. Now we're just talking about the workforce aspect, right? Can we even rewind back a bit to even when you are a Black person and you literally go to stores, you literally go to places just to purchase things with your own money, just to buy things with your own money, right? With your own hard-earned money. You still keep seeing these people policing you around and assuming that you literally do not have money to fund that. That is how bad it is. Are we going to talk about the one you will literally build your own house or buy your own house in a particular environment, and the moment you wake up the next day, every single person, they are predominantly white environments, and they start asking you questions like, you don't belong here. How did you get here? Why are you here? That is why I said it in my video when I was doing my introduction video. I said being an America is totally different from being a Black person or being a Black American in America. Because you have to deal with a lot. You're not only going to deal with the psychological parts. You're going to be dealing with the emotional, the sociological parts, the political parts, it's just a whole lot of brain work. Because you don't know what tomorrow you are going to be dealing with. As we are done dealing with this one, the next one we're going to be dealing with is going to be like a different ball game entirely. I honestly do not know how Black Americans are surviving. I don't know. I'm sending you hugs out there. I'm sending you hugs out there, and I just want to tell you guys that I cherish and I value you guys so much. Just let me know what you think about all of this video, and credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I really do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. Anyways, thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying, but I will see you guys in my next one. But before that, I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I really do appreciate you guys on every single aspect. Bye, guys. I love you guys from the depth of my heart.